It's all about brave steps, I think, to how do we educate so that we are aware of ourselves, whether we're a bully, we're a bystander, we feel alone. I mean, these are big challenges.
Yeah, and it takes people to come. I think what does the most is not professional speaking. They're wonderful, and we have a place like CAMH, which is wonderful. I mean, really world-renowned. It takes individual human beings who've experienced this to talk a little bit about their experience. And I think every time you hear somebody speak about their own experience and realize that it is no different than having a heart ailment and that you should be treated accordingly. We don't look down on people or mock people or kind of roll our eyes about people who have a heart ailment. We say, oh, we got to fix that, and we can. And the same is true of mental illness. We can fix it or deal with it. And I think we have to just have people out speaking till it normalizes it, so that it normalizes it as something that is, as unfortunate as any illness is, just in the sense that it's sort of bad luck, but at the same time we can deal with it and make sure we support people as opposed to kind of rolling our eyes and maybe turning our head the other way. So that's why events like this are so important to make sure that people show support by raising money and so on, but that's less important than the awareness, the acceptance, the embracing, the support. And, several hundred people today have, joined that cause if they weren't already a part of it.
And we hit fundraising goals way earlier this year. I'm proud to report to you. So we have a big check for $15,000, which we conservatively did, knowing the number's actually going to be higher. So,
that's good for CAMH.
I want to share that with you as well. And just use a hat metaphor for a second. I was pointing to my hat and the claw on the hat earlier. And when you wore a different hat, I had the privilege of kind of being under the umbrella of Rogers, and it's sort of given me a kind of, in a way, a mentorship and certainly direction and confidence and skill in my life, which enabled me to kind of start inside out and feel good about sharing the message of be the best you, and feel okay with being who you are and your unique self. And I'm not meaning to go off on a whole day.
But I think what's also important with your sponsors list, because you mentioned that in the context of the money you raised, is that Bell was a pioneer and was almost by itself for a long time as a company that was prepared to really speak up and do something about mental health. Lots of companies that got behind cancer, and they're all great causes and really important causes. And you now have a number of other companies, including HBC, but other big companies, and they've got to step up not just by giving money, but by being supportive. I tend to think that one of the things that we have to head towards in our own society here in Toronto, I can't speak of elsewhere, is a wellness check that we do on mental wellness every year for everybody, because that's also going to be inclined to be an occasion in which somebody who's been very reluctant to say anything actually does tell somebody who's asking them, well, come to think of it, I have had a little trouble getting out of bed in the morning because I just don't feel right, and it's not physically, it's mentally. And so I think that by having these big companies involved, it'll mean more and more of them will take an active interest beyond just the generosity of donating.
It's scary to be vulnerable and to listen to those. I was so proud of those 3 boys that spoke today, and I kind of looked over at you, as they were speaking, and it's hard not to. I was so struck by Eric, who's in the middle and courageously, talks that way about, could I have ever spoken like that at that age? Not a chance.
No, nobody did.
So, and that's, I guess, a big difference.
And that was a
right?
big problem.
Awareness.
No, people will today, and the very fact we can have an event like this where somebody will stand up and say what they said, and that's gonna make a contribution.